So there's a certain individual in this space who is known for his electric cars, and he's also known for shooting up gas-fueled rockets into space, has said that for his electric cars, he would no longer accept Bitcoin because it is not environmentally friendly. So, Wainaina, you have any thoughts about this certain individual and this kind of this trend? Because it did appear in our group today that somebody wanted to know about renewable energy related coins, because there's this concept that Bitcoin's proof of work is not environmentally friendly. So you want to speak on that, and then we can segue into your Whive and your background.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, the said individual is indeed quite misguided. I think I can summarize it that way, because if you talk about Bitcoin mining, you have to put it in context of what it's doing. It's protecting and securing an ecosystem where value and a lot of value to that is going to be stored. And we're talking about sort of the money over IP, or the Internet of Money. So what happens is, in Bitcoin, we have something called proof of work, which is a consensus algorithm that's built into the Bitcoin protocol or through the Bitcoin software that allows entities and people around the world to contribute computing power, or what we call hash power, to secure the network. And originally, if we went 10 or 11 years back, people were contributing computing power from their laptops. So people were mining Bitcoin with their laptops and getting rewarded 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So what that did is it incentivized people to create this network, which we call the Bitcoin network, that now has provided a platform where we can now transfer value over the internet without any censorship, and from any part of the world to another part of the world, or even to space and back to Earth. So it's an interplanetary monetary system. And because we're trusting it to have a lot of value, it has to be secured with a lot of hash power. So I looked up the statistics. I think the Bitcoin mining uses as much electricity as the country of Denmark. So it's not even as much electricity as the banks and the data centers use around the world. So if you look at all the big cities on Earth, talk about New York, which has a lot of banking institutions, they build huge towers with many floors, and just to offer what you call banking services. And these are replicated in every major city on Earth. So how much energy is being used to support that ecosystem versus how much energy is being used to support a digital ecosystem that is even much more efficient and much more liberating for people across the world, and in particular Black people. So that's the first thing I would say, is that you cannot compare the cost-benefit analysis of Bitcoin being a digital monetary network and the traditional legacy system, which is built on brick and mortar. The second point, which is for me is the most important point, because I created a startup around this idea, is using proof of work, whether Bitcoin or whether Whive, to drive adoption of energy access across the world. So today, Bitcoin uses 75% of renewable energy, and the reason it uses the reason the majority of the energy it uses is renewable is because it's more sustainable to use renewable energy versus to burn coal, for example. So you find the big Bitcoin miners in China, they're incentivized to look for underutilized hydroelectric dams. These are dams that were built by the local governments that could not transmit the power to the cities because there was either no demand, the cities are ghost cities, or the cities are too far away. So it would be too expensive to transfer that money to transfer that electricity from the dams to the cities. So basically, what Bitcoin has done is it has subsidized the creation of those ecosystems of hydroelectric dams across China and made them more viable so that when people plug into those hydroelectric drums and start mining Bitcoin, they create local economies where value is being created and people are starting to make money through mining and selling the Bitcoin. The other thing is, if you come now back home to Africa, we have even bigger resources in terms of hydroelectric resources. We have the Grand Inga Dam in DR Congo, which has a potential of 45,000 megawatts, which is enough electricity to serve the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. But that project has not been able to be developed because the government of Congo does not have enough resources to develop that resource. So what they could do is just follow the example of the Chinese and use that power to mine Bitcoin and make that dam a viable entity. And then from there, we can now begin talking about distributing this power to Congo and the rest of Africa. So that's what my company does. We're doing that research, and where possible, we're advising these government entities to sort of begin thinking this way. Of course, we are working at a micro level with the Whive project, which we'll go into a bit later. But for me, I would say the idea that Bitcoin is wasting energy is totally false.
Wow. So, we're only a few minutes in, so everyone is watching. Wainaina Karanja has already answered the question and kind of myth busted the whole scenario that Bitcoin proof of work is somehow not environmentally sustainable. He made some very important analogies in terms of the whole hashing power pretty much equates to the country of Denmark, and that 75% of the hashing power of Bitcoin is already renewable by the Chinese, who actually used hydrogen dams, and that there's actually a solution on the African continent in the Democratic Republic of Congo of using that same system. As long as if Africans have the resources to be able to set this up, they can actually power sub-Saharan Africa alone in based on one dam in the Great Lakes region.